You're listening to the Roosters Mania TV podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to episode 4 of Roosters Mania TV. Guys, we went to the game last Thursday. Look, we didn't get the win, but it was a good time with all the boys. How'd you like it, Luke?
I loved it, mate. Seeing for the boys, even though we didn't get the result.
All 4 for the first
good.
time.
Yeah, and Benny, it was good.
Benny
Good to
was
be all
there,
together.
yeah. Look, to be honest, the atmosphere was good. Like, despite the result, I reckon there was a bit of atmosphere in the Chook Pen, which is nice to see.
And it was my debut in the Chook Pen.
Yeah, mate.
So, yeah. It
Did
was
you love it? Did you love it?
Come on, man. I love the brothers, man. It was good. It was good.
I think
Actually, Presto, was it your debut as well?
yeah, in the Chook Pen, mate. Obviously, been in many Roosters games all my life, but I think the best moment for me was, look, it was a promising start for the Chooks. Obviously, 0-0 for a bit, and then your boy Rob Toyer broke down the line. And then bang off to Dom Young.
What a moment.
And, mate, the cup went in the
I
air.
couldn't even celebrate. You guys jumped on me when he made the break.
Bro, can you blame us?
Your boy.
He made Ben Hunt look like he was playing for the under-10s from Brisbane.
And then obviously, I thought, all things looking good. I'm like, hold on the lead, boys. And then Radley's head knock, and then
It just went downhill.
yeah. So, mate, what do you take out of it, Jordan?
Look, there's a lot to take out of it, but look, Robbo made some comments. And Robbo's comments, I think, were pretty spot on. That physically we were there, and look, we had a lot of physicality in the game, which was really good. We just lacked some smarts. There was some stupid reads on defense, probably some not so heads up play in offense, and I think at the end of the day, that's really what hurt us. Like, I was looking at stats. You boys know I love my stats. I was looking at missed tackles. We made 37. They made 30.
It was close.
Like, it was very close in terms of errors. It was pretty close. Like, there was nothing. Genuinely, it just seemed like whenever the Broncos, made a line break, they took advantage of that missed tackle, and we weren't. Or it was, Toya gets through that one time he has Dom Young there, but I think Toya made like 2 line breaks or something, and no support on his inside or outside or anything like that, and we're not able to convert
It looked
it.
a bit disjointed, but it's understandable with all the debutants there,
Yeah.
And you know what? The debutants, I've got to give them a rap. They went out there and they tried.
Yeah.
They had a crack.
100%.
That's what we can ask for.
And I think that's what Robbo meant when he talked about the physicality, because Robbo was really up and up on that physicality of. And to be fair, like, we were in there, and Luke, I know you're going to talk about some debutants and some match highlights, but there's one thing I want to do. I'm going to have a go at the refs. I'm going to have a go at Sutton.
What's got you fired up? What's got you fired up?
Actually,
in
you
a
know
mood.
what?
He's in a mood.
Before we
Go.
do that, before you have a go at the refs, we're going to chuck in Robbo's presser
Yes.
now, and then we'll go straight into the refs.
Yeah.
After that,
I gave him a big rap for effort. I thought thought our physicality and our effort was really, really high. I was really proud of him for that. And I thought our smarts was really, really low. We got beaten a lot on, our tackling for the most part, fourth tackle in the first half was an issue. Tackling. We fixed that up in the second half, and then we got beaten on short sides, numbers, and we got beaten on last play chaos as well. So it's hard to separate. You get beaten by 50 points and you're really disappointed. But I thought everybody, worked really, really hard for each other. But our smarts were at a really low standard, and we got found out many times. Smarts and chaos, D. That was where it was at.
Look, I know Sutton hates the Bulldogs. It's all been proven from that Good Friday game. And look, this is a bit on the match review committee as well. But Angus Crichton, I've watched this replay, and guys, it'll come up on the screen thanks to Preston, our amazing editor, and Benny cutting it, our amazing producer. I've watched that thing in full speed. I've watched that in slow. Angus Crichton's foot hits the ground. Then Ben Hunt kicks the ball. Then Crichton makes contact with him. He didn't even take a step between Hunt kicking the ball and him making contact. Yes, he held the arm out. The arm went straight across the collarbones. There was no high contact. There was no malice. There was nothing in it. Ben Hunt fell on his back like a baby. Like, how do you get fined for that?
$3,000.
$3,000. And look, I understand it's his third offence. That's why he's got a $3,000 fine.
Carry on, yeah.
How do you do that, right? How do you penalise it in the game? Okay, even that I'm a bit on. And look, if that happened to Chad Townsend or Sandon Smith, I would have sat there and gone, that's a weak penalty. Like, that's a load of crap. But you'll remember I had a bit of a go about Cameron McGuinness's tackle in Vegas
Last week. Yep.
Yeah. McGuinness was held. Matu Eisenhuth's hands on the ball, rips it out after surrender and held have been called. One of our debutants, and we'll talk about him later, Taylor Lusalu, right? He's been held up. Now, I've listened to this audio from, thanks to Fox Sports, multiple times. Sutton yells held 3 to 4 times. Then Corey Pakes comes in around, hits him, ball comes loose. How do you penalise a carrier for that? If anything, why is there not a penalty or a professional foul on third man in after held has been called? Now, I'll tell you what, if Angus Crichton's is a penalty, Corey Pakes, when he made that tackle on Taylor LaSalle to knock the ball free, he took 4 steps between the time held was called, multiple times, to come around and hit him. Yeah. How do you not penalise that? Instead, we gave the ball up. Teddy done the right thing, challenged it. They looked at it once and went, it's a loose carry. You can hear in the video ref them calling held. How, in God's name, do you screw us over on that? Because if that's the way it's going to be in the NRL this year, I'll tell you what, if I'm a coach, I'm teaching all, hey, third man, wait there. As soon as held's called, hit him. Because the moment you hear held, the ball carrier's not expecting to get hit again, are they?
Mate,
they're getting ready to play the ball.
If it happens again next week, you might be watching AFL, mate.
Mate, look, I will never do that. I will never
punish.
do that. I don't mind watching the Swans every now and then, but I'm not into aerial ping pong. But I tell you what, I will take skirts out there for the referees because apparently they need them. Because if they're calling that a knock on, this game is going horrible. Well, I understand they're trying to protect players, but now you're not protecting the guy with the ball.
And mind you, guys, let's be real here. We're not being delusional. The Broncos were the better side.
The Broncos killed us. Please don't, and I'm no way saying, my point on this is, this is 2 examples in the first round of the year where I think the referees have screwed up pretty badly. It'll be interesting to see what Graham Ansley has to say about it.
God.
But to me, my time playing football, if you heard held, you didn't then go and tackle again, because if you did, you knew it was either going to be straight up penalty or it's going to be a penalty and you're sitting in the bin for 10. So
do you think about it?
Pissed me off a bit.
Well, mate, like Theo was saying, the result, like Brisbane won fair and square.
Oh, yeah.
But some of the stats, Connor Watson made 49 tackles, the most tackles in that game.
And he only missed 1.
That's right. And Rob Toyer, one of our debutants, 2 try assists. That first try, we all got up, man.
It was good.
Really
I felt for some of the players. You look at Lindsay, hand on his head, blood running out of his head.
From the first tackle as well.
He looked buggered, and honestly, you can just tell by the back end of the game, when Bronx was sweeping out the back from Hunt to Reece Walsh, you're thinking, they could have went 70, but then the boys held it on. I think we slowly crawled away back, and then, like you were saying earlier, the errors, and then the Taylor Lasalu incident, it all played into it at the end of the day.
Yeah, alongside with Rob Toyer, I want to give a shout out to our other debutants, Taylor Lasalu and Salisi Faketi.
Yes, and I did play with Taylor Lasalu, so shout out to you, mate. Well done. I remember back at training back in the day, it was the last guy I wanted to tackle. He was
that under 9s or?
Yeah, under 9s. We played, I think, probably 6-5 years together, and then he made his way through, and now he's at the Chooks. And I saw one of my mates there, Ben O'Reilly. He's a diehard Para fan. Even he had on the red, white, and blue.
Wow. I love it. I love that support when guys make their debut. No matter who you really support, you support that bloke. It's so good.
It's the cornerstone of the debuts, man. That was pretty much what we were excited about, because we weren't confident going into the Broncos game.
It was always going to be a tough ask, and we did, us 3, we did tip the Broncos, so
yeah.
Except poor Jordan.
I went with the boys,
and Jordan's going to probably tip against the Panthers.
Let's not get into that. We'll touch on that. But let's keep going with what you were saying, buddy.
So alongside with all that, one thing I want to talk to you boys about. 25 minutes ago, we saw people walking out. Now, Roosters fans, have faith. I know we're in a rebuilding phase, but be with us, win, lose or draw.
Honestly,
you got to look at the players. We got Sam Walker and Brandon Smith, both ACLs. They're due to return mid-year. We got Billy Smith out, Egan Butcher, and that Butcher isn't playing. His hip, is it?
They've said it's an outside of footy injury, so don't know. They haven't actually said what it is, but it looks like he's not even playing this weekend as well, which is huge. Because
Radley's just got a bad knock, man. Yeah.
Well, Radley now,
he's out. Day. De La Salle, he was coughing blood, ends up in hospital. There was a rumor
I spoke to his dad about that. Yeah, He's on the mend, but he won't be playing anytime soon at the moment.
Which is sad because he was huge.
Spencer is suspended for another
week.
So we got 8 players out. I know we've lost a lot of
You can even
players
throw
in the
Egan
off year.
Butcher as well.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
recovering from the
So
ACL.
Egan, the 8 players out, just like have faith, guys. If you're going to come to the game, watch the boys for the full 80 minutes.
I was going to say quickly.
Oh yeah, sorry, go Presto.
Do you think it's going to be a decent crowd, Penrith Roosters?
I think so, because Penrith is
Penrith will have
first game in Sydney.
Yeah,
round
CommBank,
2.
true,
I think
yeah.
they'll get
Do you reckon they'll travel from Penrith to Para?
100%. They
Yeah.
will.
It's not
Down
far.
the
It's
M4,
not really that far.
30
But
minutes.
Penrith's to them. Like, it's their home. Like, they're going to...
Yeah, but look, let's be honest. How many Penrith fans don't live in Penrith? Same as with Roosters.
like
a lot
us.
of
Lots of
Roosters
us
fans
live-
don't live in the
yeah.
eastern
They
suburbs.
actually live more out west. Than
Mate,
they-
there's Penrith fans in the east now. That's how big this
Wow.
bandwagon's getting.
I'm glad you called it a bandwagon.
So if
Yeah.
you're
Just
a
for
Roosters,
Flaxxy later.
if you're a Roosters fan, let's get to the game on Friday. Let's be with the team like through the tough times, like now.
And you know
As
what?
well as a good time.
Tickets aren't cheap. Like, let's be fair. Like, memberships aren't too bad, but tickets aren't cheap to the footy, even if you have a membership. So if you're spending all that money, mate, get your 80 minutes worth, please. Be there for the boys.
Guys, let me just say this. I'll be honest. With the people leaving, I understand it's frustrating. Inside, it ate me. I was like, come on, do something. But you got to show your love and your passion. It is all about an up and down roller coaster ride. That's what you enjoy about being a footy fan. It's all about win. Because then you get nothing out of it after that. You just keep winning and you're like, you're going to get bored of it. Losing is part of the nature of the beast.
It builds character.
Yes.
It makes us stronger, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Look, I mean, I don't know about you boys. Luke, you came into the Chook Pen, what, about 2013?
2010.
2010. Okay, so
quarterfinal.
I had season tickets 2009. We won one game that year. Trust me, it sucked. But I did not miss a minute of footy that year.
It only makes that next grand final in sweeter.
But I tell you what,
does. I was about to say that.
making that grand final in 2010 was amazing. Getting flogged hurt. But that grand final in 2013 against Manly, I tell you what, I thought back to 2009 how, I was a kid. I was 17. Man, there were nights I was crying at the footy. We were getting beaten that badly.
Yeah.
But I stayed there, and look what came out of it. We went for some really good, successful years after that, which is awesome.
All right, well let's we'll touch on the rest of the round one games. We'll start with Theo, mate. What's this red book you brought this week?
Oh, so obviously, my mates, they always take the mickey out of me and they call me the Joe Rogan because I've started doing podcasting. So now I've just adopted it and called myself the Greek Rogan. So I'm Greek, I'm Rogan. So yeah, guys, pretty chat, but yeah, it is what it is.
So Thea, the question for you, because I'm going to go back to some of the debutantes that Luke mentioned before, but we were talking about this before. Who is coming on the market at the end of 25 for 26 that you think we could possibly get or could be a good fit?
Doesn't necessarily mean that we want them or the club wants them, but I'm just throwing names out. So don't absolutely sandblast me on socials, please, guys. I've just done a bit of research. So obviously there's a second rower that a lot of people might know, Kyle Pearce-Paul from the Newcastle Knights.
Yep.
Second rower, very long, tall fella. He's got a elusive offload. At Newcastle, I don't feel like it's really worked out over there, but look, I'm just saying there's an option there. And obviously everyone's been going on about a halfback or a 5'8", or we have a halfback, but a 5'8". Tamari Martin from the New Zealand Warriors did not get picked.
Didn't play in Vegas.
Got overlooked because they had Luke Metcalf and obviously Chanel Tavita-Harris. Yeah. So obviously there's an option. Mind you guys, they're off contract. So there's no negotiations from the club or anything. It's just a suggestion that maybe the club could go down there. Hypothetically. I'm just throwing a solution out there.
See on the back of that, and Luke touched on it, is 2025 a year where we maybe don't buy guys, we debut guys. So I was having a look at who statistically our best players were, and I think it matches up with anyone who watched the game. But I want to shout out to our 3 debutants, right? I'm going to read you some stats here about how they played because I think it's important. Bobby Toyer, we'll start with Rob Toyer. 2 try assists, 1 line break, which was the one on Hunt, 5 tackle breaks, 39 post-contact meters, 23 tackles as a centre, only missed 1, 141 running meters. That's your debut NRL game. That's not a bad shout.
That's my OG.
Mate, look, the result wasn't what we wanted, but stuff like that. Celesi Feketi, right? He's a second rower. He came into the game. He played 52 minutes.
Not bad for a debut.
For a debut. Now, mind you, he was defending for most of it, but still got 7 runs for 52 metres, 34 tackles. And Taylor Lasalu, your bloke, 27 minutes is all he played, front rower debut game. That's about right. 6 runs, 52 metres, 16 tackles. He had one handling error, which was the one I was talking about before, which I blasted Sutton for, so I don't blame him. But also, I said this to you boys on the night. I thought our standouts were Rob Toyer, Marky Mark. So basically our centres, our fullback in Teddy and Connor Watson. Teddy, 161 metres, 18 runs, 48 post-contact metres, 3 tackle breaks, about 31% plays that I could think of because that man just wanted to try and create something. Connor Watson, to go with his 49 tackles, took 4 hit-ups, 3 tackle breaks. So, nearly at 100% there. And Marky, 12 runs, 118 metres, 34 post-contact, 6 tackle breaks and 2 offloads. So to me, that's highlights, right? I think out of everything. Our centres are good. So, a lot of people going, why aren't we trying to buy a Katoni Staggs or Selwyn Cobbo? Well, mate, based off that, now keep in mind, this is Marky Mark's second game of NRL and Bobby Toyer's first. Mate, I can't wait to see what they're doing by Origin time.
I think they'll cement their spots. And I think, the scoreline, I don't think it reflected how. I think we had a real good crack.
I think we just lost the middle battle
Yeah.
because we were inexperienced. That's what it was.
People on debut, what do you expect?
The
So-
two Origin front rollers. Well,
Payne Haas and Pat Carrigan, though, it's always going to be tough to beat those sort of blokes. And look, we commented on it a couple of times. Payne Haas is just a wrecking ball.
He looked like he was playing backyard footy, paying us.
He did. He really did.
So who do you have? Tigers versus Newcastle, mate. You were at the game at Campbelltown. How was the
yeah,
atmosphere?
went with the old man. Yeah, it was actually a good turnout. Obviously, it was very defensive from both sides, considering that we missed how many tackles in our game?
We missed 37,
37.
and West missed 55.
There you go.
So, to be fair, I mean, West, I thought should have won it, to be honest.
just
I'll
think-
echo Benji's comments.
I just don't think Newcastle, their attack was very off. And imagine the Broncos were off. We could have had that similar scenario.
I think you'd say Tigers fans are more disappointed than Chooks fans right now.
To be honest, I have
Should have
this
won that
thought-
game.
I have this thought, and it might be controversial, but I reckon the reason West stayed in that game was because of their forwards. Mostly Terrell May and Royce Hunt. I reckon Galvin and Luai passengered it too much. I know you were there. Tell me what you think.
My mate's going to kill you because he has been giving me crap about it. He goes, tell your mate to stop calling us West. His name's Alan Dim, by the way. Shout out to you, Alan.
What's he want to call them? Magpies, maybe?
Tigers.
The Mergers?
All I'm going to say as a group 6 boy who grew up playing football literally 10 to 15 minutes away from where we're filming this, they were always called Wests in this area. And that's because I want to be respectful to the Balmain side and the Magpies side.
Well said.
So
The game.
Dolphins versus South at Combank. That one got moved from Suncorp.
yeah,
Thoughts?
look, to be brutally honest, I mean, I know South won that. I don't think they fully deserved it. And that's not that I'm actually not having a shot at South there. I think they took advantage of Dolphins' errors. Jamie Humphries. Lewis Dodd, mate, go back to England.
Yeah.
Jamie Humphries has the
looks
biceps
good.
of the front row.
He's a big boy for a half.
He's a big boy. He looks like he should be playing back row, but his kicking game was awesome. He took control. Goal kicking, yeah. But Jai Gray, mate, Latrell might not be playing fullback when he comes
I think
up.
I said this last week. Watch out for Jai Gray. Like, he played well last year as well.
He's a little live wire.
He put his body on the. There was a kick put through by, I believe it was Katoa. It was Katoa or Sean O'Sullivan, and he had to leap up, catch it, and keep running, and he just done it at speed. But just to have another go at the refs, there was a play out of that game that I'm curious about. Look, I'll be honest, I can't even remember. But Jack Whiten got pinged for a strip, right? Humphries kicked the ball through. Asako went up for it, caught it, came down. Whiten's come through to affect the tackle with, I believe it was Tass. And Whiten's making the tackle and his hands come up and knock the ball, right? Now, to me, he's trying to make a tackle. And guys, you'll see the video come up, so please tell me your thoughts. But I actually thought South got dudded there. I don't think it was a strip. So, not convincing, but yeah, South did get up, but there's a bit to like.
What about the winger? He bombed it 3 times, Junior Tupou, for the Dolphins. He could have scored a couple and they would have won the game.
They could have run away with it. But
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like, I don't think South won that game. I think the Dolphins lost it to an extent. But credit to South where it's due.
start off the year right.
Started off the year
crowd
right.
of 6,000 people.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm not going to give them crap for that because, to be fair, it was moved on Wednesday night. So if people had plans or I can understand not being able to get to the game.
Luke, do you reckon the preparation for the Dolphins could have changed things because they had to relocate to Sydney, you reckon?
Oh, that's a hard one. Like, Broncos were in the
It would have been in their heads,
situation.
definitely.
But also Mark
5
Nichols.
players missed out. Was it 5 players?
Three.
Oh, 3.
So Nikorima and Mark Nichols from the starting squad. And to be fair, Nichols is probably the heart and soul of that team. And Bromwich was the 18th man, but he came out.
Honestly, I think if they played, I think they would have put a score on
What do you
South.
think about Bulldogs Dragons, mate?
Yeah, how was
good game.
How was?
Yeah.
Hey, did you get any pies thrown at you?
Nah.
Did you avoid them? Okay, you avoided them.
Would have been a punch on.
I had a Rooster shirt on, so I was alright.
Okay.
I'm not a Doggies
Had a
fan.
Roosters Mania TV
That's
shirt.
it.
Get it right.
And that was a good game. It was good to see Dragons come back towards the end. Christian
Tuipulotu?
Yes, sorry.
Tuipulotu?
I can't say his name properly. He scored a good hat-trick. And you know what killed me, boys? Seeing Satili score 2 tries right in front of me. One of my mates, touchline boys, they said, watch, Satili's going to get the ball. Right in front of us, he got the ball and he just went under the post.
We've always knew Satili was always a very good attacking
Loves a
player.
short ball.
It was hard seeing Satili as well as Terrell May, the game you went to on Friday. So hard seeing them have.
I think it was more heartbreaking
game.
seeing Terrell May actually play.
We would have loved him on
We would
Thursday
love
night.
Terrell.
But it was good seeing Dragons come back towards the end. It was a good crowd. I think it was sold out. The hill was packed.
There's a bit of controversy out of the game. I say controversy. It wasn't controversy about on field per se, but Tuipulotu, I think he scored his second or third try.
I was about to say that.
And yeah, he was
that
acting. He was
celebration.
acting like he, just went over for the game winner. What are you?
I
boys
was
think?
watching it, and then he scored. He was doing these ones in the air. Was he asking for a contract upgrade? Did his mates win on Sportsbet? We don't know.
Yeah, somebody must have had him in their multi to
Well,
score a
he's
hat-trick.
trying to market himself.
Because
It's one way of
they were
doing
down
it.
28-10, and he's carrying on like he's just won the 2010 grand
That's
final.
what I'm thinking there. Like, I didn't watch the whole game. I was watching the highlights and I saw that and I'm like, mate, what are you doing? Like if you
it was pretty
tied it
funny.
up or if you got within one, I could understand.
Match
But
winner sort of stuff.
Yeah,
Well, Saturday night, Manly Cowboys. I was watching this with my mate
You were
Riley.
meant to go, but you didn't go.
No, didn't go to the game. Thought it was going to rain, but the hill did look good at Brookie. Credit
did.
to him. Mate, DCE ages like a fine wine of Penfolds. That bloke. The hill was packed, and they honestly just scorched them. Cowboys.
Absolutely battered
Cowboys just
them.
didn't look like they showed up. And I backed the Cowboys because I was expecting more out of them, but it just didn't look like they showed up.
I was pretty confident in Manly, and I thought Tommy Turbo. He had that 2021 form about him. Honestly,
He lit up Brookvale big time.
Yeah, coming back home, first game of the year, Tommy's going to put on a show.
But yeah, no, I like that about Manly, and I think next week, they're up against, or this weekend, up against Warriors, and I think 13 plus again.
I
They're
think
looking
that's
The only bad thing about it, Manly didn't put more points than Broncos did. But the next game,
That's fine because
The next one.
presto, cha-ching, baby.
What happened? What'd you say last week?
How
What
was
did you
that
say?
tip, mate?
Yeah, what'd you say
How'd
last week?
Parra go? How'd Moses go, by the way?
I thought Moses would have been on the flight down there with them.
Yeah.
I'll take my licks. I did tip Parra. I thought maybe the new coach rolls, but it was a nightmare for him. Honestly, Amy Park, they
It was
had
a
a
no
decent crowd
contest.
there. No contest. They honestly,
That's 23 years in a row Melbourne have won round one.
and I
since
thought,
2002.
I thought honestly it was done by 30 minutes. Pappy was schooling around even at half time. He said, I think he had a bet with Munster. That's why he didn't pass the ball back on the inside.
Yeah, must have.
Damn you, Ryan Pappenhausen. I was in my bet as well, Cameron Munster.
They looked good, and even I think one of their tries, scrum-based play, it had Cronk,
What a-
Slade about it,
Yeah.
back on the
The
inside.
inside.
No, it was good, and coming out of Eels, they were probably off because breaking news before we started filming, Dylan Brown's up to the Hunter.
Yeah, I was going to say that. So you got Mitch Moses out for the next 6 weeks, and Brown apparently told the teammates that, and he has confirmed this on his Instagram.
Yep.
He's going 10 years, 13 mil, it sounds like, to Newcastle.
Well, he hasn't
last
articulated
week,
that he's
boys.
going to Newcastle, but
Well,
he's obviously,
I mean,
obvious.
Luke had the
caught
breaking
it.
news for us. He did call it
the
last
scoop,
week.
we're going to call you the
Inside
scoop.
Yeah, Luke the
Reliable
scoop of
source,
Luke.
mate.
Luke, the scoop of Dupe. I like
But
that.
you know what? Look, I mean, everyone's saying it's Newcastle, and I think that's the obvious one because that's the number that everyone said Newcastle had done. But, boys, I'm going to bring you back to something I said a couple of weeks ago. It might have been last week or the week before. That means that if Ponga is rumoured on the 1.5 that everyone said, that's 2.8 million of their salary cap in two players. What happens to Ponga? Is he staying there, boys? Is he going to Union like the tour?
I'll tell you right now, he's going to add a bit of white to that jersey.
Oh!
He's going to, I reckon he
Replace
might come-
Teddy?
I think so. Teddy, look, honestly, he played amazing on Thursday night. But there's going to be a bit of pressure on Teddy this year. You know, the losses will come. And I think, you know, like he might think retirement possibly in the back of his head. Like he is quite old. But
I mean, you say he's quite old. He's my age. He's 31.
yeah,
Thank you.
so like
he's the same age as me, bro.
Wow.
it could be a passing of the guard. It could be, you know, Roosters might say, all right, Ponga.
Well, I think he's got another 2 years on his
He's
contract.
got this year and then he's got next year.
Yeah, so another 2 years.
So maybe once that passes, then he might come to Bondi. Who knows?
Well, because the other thought, the Rugby Union World Cup's 27, so that's
You
what.
think rugby union
Well,
is a potential
That was
chance?
thrown out there. Now I can't remember the source, so I won't quote exactly, but it was thrown out there. He's thinking about union, so. But
and why not? Joey Marnie's did he? Might think he might want to do what Joey wants to do, you know?
But also, I do want to go back to the Storm Eels game, and I want to say thank you to Parramatta. We're now not last on the ladder, so thank you, Parramatta.
Thanks, Para.
We appreciate your efforts. Melbourne, thank you for being 46-6 up at halftime.
Boys, I got a complaint.
Okay.
I'm not happy.
All right.
Okay.
They should have put more. They got
Yeah.
the bye next week. They took Harry Grant off, Jerome Hughes. I wanted Melbourne to go nuts and put a storm in
You
Parramatta.
really hate the blue and gold.
I really hate him, mate. I wanted 80 on
How
it.
do you think I feel? I captained Jerome Hughes in Supercoach this week, thinking he was going to put up a massive number.
Mate, I was at halftime.
71, I think.
I sat back. I was ready for another 40 points. And Para won that second half.
I think, yeah, they took the foot off.
And one thing I'll give it to them.
the second
I'll
half.
give it to Para as much as I don't like him.
They did come back.
They played a better second half than most of us thought, right?
But also, has Shane Flanagan been proven right that Lomax is a better winger than centre? Because he had a couple of
very
misreads.
minimised,
He had a couple of misreads. I know they didn't have a lot of attacking ball, but he had a couple of misreads in defence. So maybe that's the case. He should have been on the wing.
All right, now, guys, for segment 2, we've got a special guest on. It is Ryan Flaxman from the League Lads podcast, a diehard Penrith fan, and he joins RMTV right now.
Guys, our first special guest on the Roosters Mania TV podcast is our co-host of League's Lads podcast, a passionate Panthers supporter who has been active among the membership base of the club for several years. Most notably celebrating the Panthers' historical 4th in a row premiership title on the field during the post-match celebrations after the 2004 Grand Final. And Flaxxy joins us.
How we doing, boys?
TV. There you go, mate.
To see you, brother.
Mate, good. Just, winning premierships, going to Vegas, having a good time. Life's pretty good.
Yes.
How the Roosters go?
Oh, don't you start, mate. We'll get you back one day. One day, but not yet.
Long time.
Recently, back from Australia, obviously went over to Vegas. What was that experience like?
Oh, man. You've been there, Luke. It's just, honestly, it's like, if you've ever been to Magic Round, it's that.
On
10
roids.
times on roids, and especially because they brought the English over this year, you get the passion of the English, thinking you're at a soccer game, and then the Aussies being there as well, and it felt just like honest
unreal.
community. Yeah, 100%, man. I loved it. I'm going back every time now because it is just such a good experience. Obviously, we got the win, so it made that experience just a tad bit better. But yeah, just the community there, so awesome, and you ran into more Aussie and English people than Americans. Every person I talk to, they're like, oh yeah, having a chat. And they're like, oh, you're also Australian. It's like, am I in Vegas or Australia? So yeah, I loved it. It was a great experience.
Did you meet many Americans that went to the game?
I met a few. A lot of the time I was talking about it, I was in Ubers with the American Ubers.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh my god, what is this rugby game?" And it's like, "It's rugby league, bro." It's like, you should go. And they're like, "Oh, it's a Allegiant Stadium." And it's like, "Yeah, go." And I think I convinced a few of them, but honestly, they were just so encapsulated with just oh my god, there's so many Aussies here for this event. They're so confused about it. And the best way you had to try to explain it is oh, the NFL coming to Australia or going overseas. It's like that, but for us.
Yeah.
So,
Well, you know what? You just touched on it. So the Americans still get confused and they keep calling it rugby when it's not rugby. It's rugby league. I have a solution to all this. Peter Valandis, if you're watching, they should call it NRL. Like they call the NFL. Like they call the NBA. You know what I mean? So that way they go, oh, what's it stand for? National Rugby League, not rugby.
yeah, I think the issue with that, though, is you still get they hear rugby, right? It's like NFL, you hit football.
Yeah.
So NBA, it's basketball. You go, okay, it's the NRL. okay, what is it? National Rugby. Oh, it's rugby. Yeah, so like I
can't win.
You can't win. Like I did hear one American call it rugby league, and it was almost jarring to hear him say rugby league because like you just don't expect them to know what the sport is. So,
Flax, I want to ask you, what was the preparation like? Obviously, with booking flights and accommodations, was it tough? Was it time consuming? Was it draining?
Well, I actually didn't stay on the strip. I booked all my stuff in January, which is like very late compared to a lot of other people.
I remember speaking to you about it a couple of weeks before. That's right.
Yeah,
and you booked it all last minute, didn't you?
Yeah, like I was always going to go, but I just, funds didn't fall all in the right place. Just things were happening. I didn't actually end up staying on the strip. I think I just said that. But I stayed at this place called the Silverton, and in my opinion, it was actually better than staying on the strip.
Really?
Yeah. Like, it's a bit of a, unpopular opinion, but I was about 10 minutes out from the stadium, and it was just so much better. Like, the room, I was talking to people that were at the Flamingo, at, like, Bellagio, and they just had the room and a toilet. And that's all they had. Like,
wow.
Yeah, like, if you're staying on the strip, you literally just get this box room with a bed and a toilet.
So it's like a studio, basically.
Where mine, I had a kitchen, I had 2 TVs. I was in there by myself.
Like a full apartment.
Wow.
And
so I paid $2,500 for flights and accommodation all up.
Wow.
So yeah, like really, really cheap compared to if I was going to like one of the other ones, Luxor, or one of the other ones on the strip, it would have been like close to $3-4 grand. So although I did like book very late, it was still cheap compared to like what you would think it is. And the Ubers were a tad expensive, but there wasn't much of a hassle, like booking game tickets were easy. And then, I just booked flights and tickets pretty much in a booking. It was pretty easy.
All right.
Good.
Yeah.
So, what did you do in Vegas? Like, did you go to the Fan Fest? Did you go to any attractions there?
So, this is where I'm going to lose some people because I went over while it was, like, my birthday was on the 27th of February.
Yeah.
So, I was over there and I didn't want to spend my birthday waiting in lines. And I don't know if you saw, like, all the TV and everything, but it was packed.
It was.
It was packed. There was, like, 20,000 people in Fremont Street. You couldn't, like, walk or anything. And I made the conscious decision. I was like, I could do this at home. Like as a rugby league fan and as a content creator as well, because we're all there for the content and all this stuff. I found it just not worth waiting in lines for the boys just to walk past.
Right.
Like I get to see that. Like I have a really decent membership with the Panthers, and I get to do a pretty cool stuff. I get to do like an event with the Panthers. I get like.
So you have a bit of access.
I have a bit of access, behind the scenes. So instead of going to like the Fan Fest and all the stuff, I made the conscious decision. I'm going to explore Vegas because like it was my first time in Vegas, first time in there, and I did some pretty cool stuff while I was there. I went on a helicopter flight over the city, which was insane. I obviously went to a bunch of shows. I traveled the strip, got to try new foods and stuff. So although I didn't do a lot of the rugby league stuff, I felt like it was better because I wasn't waiting in lines for, just to see him for 30 seconds. And I'm like, oh my God, I saw my boys
so you
in
went and
Vegas.
did your own experience because
Exactly.
you've already experienced, obviously, going to see the players.
Exactly.
You got that in Australia.
You can do that in Sydney, right?
Exactly. And I can always, like, I was going to the game, so I wasn't missing that experience. I did the experience that I would do at the game. But in terms of like, experiencing Vegas, I can just tell people right now, if you see the boys and you get the experiences that you do in Sydney, travel, like you're in another country. Go experience some stuff. 100%. And that's what I did. So,
well, you know what? I'll ask Luke and you because you both went to Vegas. Obviously, you went last year and you went this year. So, the Allegiant Stadium experience, what was that like, Flax? And then I'll obviously ask Luke. So,
insane. There is not a better stadium in Australia. Like, I'm sure you can attest to this.
I said the same thing before you went over. I said the exact same. Someone said, is MCG like compared to? I said nothing in Australia.
It's on 10 times steroids.
So I've been to LA before. Like I haven't been to a lot of other places, but I've been to Crypto.com Arena. I've been to SoFi Stadium, and then I've been obviously to Allegiant Stadium. These stadiums crap on all Australian stadiums.
They do.
Like Allianz Stadium, brand new.
Yeah.
Craps all over that. Like Allegiant Stadium, it's just, I don't know what it is. There is not an Australian stadium that I can think of that compares to it.
I think America's just got state of the art over there.
And that's what they do. And so when you're going there, like everyone says, oh, you know, Magic Round, let's talk about Lang Park, Suncorp Stadium. Everyone's like, oh, that's such a great stadium. And then if you go to Allegiant Stadium, you're like, Suncorp is nothing.
That's right.
ANZ Stadium is our biggest thing, like our biggest thing. We had the Olympics there. Allegiant Stadium.
And Luke obviously
all over
went last year, so he's obviously got...
I was going to ask you, did you walk around the stadium? Did you try any foods there, like in the stadium?
I didn't try a lot of the foods. I had a bit of popcorn, a few of the drinks,
Yeah.
but like
It's a bit pricey, though.
I was gonna say
It's
the
pricey.
priciness is insane. Like you're buying a beer, you're buying a I don't know, Great Northern.
I got 2 beers there. I think it was like $40 US dollars.
Yeah,
Just
you're-
for 2 beers.
So you're getting a Great Northern here in Australia. It's what, $12, $8 maybe. I drink Canadian clubs myself, so I don't, but that's Australian. You go to Allegiant Stadium, they're selling these Modelo's,
Budweiser.
Modelo's or Coronas, and they're selling them for $14-15 American.
That's right.
Which is like $25 Australian. It's
One thing, and probably Flaxxy saw it, one thing I like about the stadiums, the cup holders in your seats.
They had
Did
the
you
cup
see
holders
that?
in the seat,
How
which is
good.
really, really good. So yeah, I think Australia has a lot to learn, and it was just the stadium is just a state of the art.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, so game day, the experience, obviously. What was the good and what was the bad, would you say, about the entertainment of the event of Vegas round?
There's not much I can really fault on Vegas. There's a few things that were there, but obviously we're going to get to that. But in terms of entertainment and the crowd atmosphere, it was insane. Like, especially with the addition of the Super League game, you just get the British experience. It's like you're at an EPL game. It's a different type of crowd
Atmosphere.
and atmosphere, absolutely. And you go to a grand final here. Nothing. It's nothing compared. Even Magic Round. And I would say the biggest thing about Vegas is it feels like a Magic Round on steroids, which is what we said. So bringing the British into it absolutely changed the game. Like, you had them doing Viking claps for the Raiders.
Yeah, I heard about that on the
It
forums.
was funny as, and they were like bagging all over the Warriors. You had the Warriors and Warrington on one side, and then Wigan and the Raiders on one side. So they just loved it. The only issue is, I would say, and I think we're going to get into this, is the length of the event, and it killed the atmosphere. The atmosphere was great while it was there, and I didn't go to the Super League game, but from what I heard and from what I did see, it was insane. But being at that Warriors Raiders game was also insane. It was crazy. But the issue is when it got to that third game and the score that happened, not reflecting on the game itself, but it killed the atmosphere. So when you got to the main event, which I would like to say was the best game on the day, it was just, the crowd was kind of dead.
It became a buzzkill. It became a buzzkill.
It wasn't a buzzkill because the game was a quality game. It was like one of the best games.
Yeah, I
I'd seen.
thought so.
I heard there was no pass outs available, so if you wanted to leave during one of the games, you can't get back in. Is that right?
I was going to get to that. There was no pass outs. I was lucky. I had 3 tickets. So I could go out, use another
that's
ticket,
good.
go out, use another ticket. But yeah, unlike Magic Round, there's no pass outs. So you walk out of the stadium, you can't go back
get
in.
back in.
And so a lot of Americans missed the best game, the game which deserved to be the main event, but unfortunately, because of the length of the day, everyone's just tired by the end of the day, and it was 10 hours from start to finish. It's really hard. I've been to Magic Round, and a lot of people struggle to get through 3 games. I myself personally did. Like, when I went to Magic Round last year, I walked out on the second game, came back for the third game because there were pass outs, but that's one thing I would improve on. I would say pass outs are definitely a thing.
Well, I want to ask you, what do you make of the Gillaroos? Obviously, there's a bit of criticism towards that game because it was an absolute blowout. What do you make of the women's game?
Look, for me, it is good for the women. It's good and bad for the women's game. So, like, the women's game deserves a promotion. It deserves a foot forward. Did they do it in the right way? No, absolutely not. The girls, obviously, you can't predict the score.
Are you talking about the NRL though?
Yeah, I'm talking about the NRL. So, like, in terms of promoting the women's game, absolutely get it on board. doing it in Vegas when you're trying to promote to a different audience, it's not the right place. Put that type of game before a grand final. Put it where everyone's still going to have eyes on it, but it's people that are going to be more interested in watching the game. When you're promoting a sport overseas, you're promoting to a new audience, so you need to be careful on what you select. A State of Origin game would have been really well. Would have been a closer game. New South Wales versus Queensland, but an Australian versus England, when the skill, obviously Australia have a lot more skill compared to other countries. Even if you put Australia, New Zealand, I saw a lot of people say Australia, New Zealand. What you need to have a game that is going to be competitive and going to keep eyes on the screen. A lot of people, and this isn't a dig on the women's game. It was, if anything, it's a learning experience, which is something we can look for. But a lot of people walked out in that game. The crowd, we lost the crowd. We lost the vibe. We lost the energy after that game. Obviously, some people were the opposite. Like, I know a few people, especially Americans, were like, oh my God, like the Jilla rules are just insane. Like, God help any other team. And, it was like, I saw that side of the coin. But in terms of, if you want to promote the women's game, there are better ways to do it. And maybe in a few years when the skill level, where there is a competitive amongst the international stage for women's game, then bring it to Vegas. But you got to keep it in where it can grow, and that isn't in Vegas.
What about live bands maybe after a game? So that way there's a bit of entertainment. You'll be playing a band or something. It keeps the crowd flowing.
Well, they had like a few New Zealand. They had this guy, who was it? Savage. They had like a few really good acts. For halftime,
after party, didn't he?
And they had the after party as well, like T-Pain for the after party. But like at the event, at the stadium, they had all these. I had these halftime shows, and they were really good. Like they were levels above what halftime entertainment you get at a normal Sydney game. But even then, the crowd was just dead. Like you're thinking, you have the Wigan Warriors versus Warrington game, which was a blowout. Like obviously they came back in the end, but it was a blowout. But you had the English crowd there, so they didn't care either way. You then had the Warriors versus Raiders game, where the English were watching that game because they were still interested in it. And then you had the Warriors fan base, which unfortunately it was another blowout. Like Raiders just killed them on that front. Then you get to the third game. Now you've just watched 2 games of rugby league with a mad vibe. It's gonna dissipate. Now, would I say the same if there was no women's game? It was the Panthers' third game. I still think the crowd might have died. I think 3 games is still a long time, but I think it wouldn't have killed the crowd as much. Especially because at the beginning of the women's game, there was still a lot of atmosphere there. Yeah. It's just when the score started exploding, that's when it... Yeah.
So Peter V'landys, he said he wanted to scale back on 3 games. What would you recommend for next year, for the opener?
So I think this is a very common opinion, but I think the Super League game is here to stay.
It has to be there.
It has to be. The crowds were insane, but unlike the NRL, you gotta probably keep Wigan there. You gotta keep keep competitive teams there.
What about Leeds Rhinos? What about St Helens?
St Helens. That's what I was gonna get to that. St Helens versus Wigan has to be the next game. You have to have a game that is going to be competitive for the Super League. Because Warrington, while I heard they were a decent team, they got flogged.
And they haven't won a Super League title in the history of the Super League.
And obviously, you can't judge, how a game is going to go. People play different on the day. But you need quality games like the Panthers-Sharks game. And with the NRL, obviously we have that 5-year deal. And I think the deal was every team's going to get a go. But the NRL and the skill level of the NRL is levels above Super League. So that's fine. But with the Super League, you need your popular teams because they're going to travel too. Like we had, I think, 12,000 English fans there. And that made the crowd 10 times more. Like they were out cheering the Warriors. We all know how the Warriors are and how they out chant opposite teams. The English were out chanting the Australians.
So it was a good
in an Australian game.
It was a good multicultural
100%. So I think 3 games is 2 games maybe too short. 4 games definitely too long. It's the Goldilocks, number 3. Third time's a charm. Number
So
three.
you think a triple header would be perfect?
I think a triple header will be perfect. And, with teams next year, I've heard
Bulldogs and Dragons?
Bulldogs and Dragons. That is an insane game.
The whole Belmore
It'll be
and
sold
St.
out.
George, we've almost gone from here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm hearing that is an insane, that is a perfect main event.
Yeah.
That's your main event. And then I'm hearing also Parramatta and Melbourne. I've heard other teams as well, but that's the two main ones I've heard. And
I think Cowboys and Knights have been tossed up as well.
yeah, so you never know, but you need competitive games. So in my three, if I was to be Peter V'landys and set up next year, I'd be going Dogs Dragons is a must. That's the main event. Wigan versus St Helens, because those two teams are the most notable teams out of the Super League. And then that third game is the middle game.
So you'd do Super League first?
Super League first,
Yeah.
to bring the crowd and bring an atmosphere. And English always deliver. The English always deliver. Second game, you get the NRL game, so you get the NRL heads involved. And so and one thing I did notice is after the Super League game, they were interested in the rugby league.
They were chanting.
They
Like
were
you said,
chanting. They were out chanting and adding to the Raiders. Like the Raiders were out chanting the Warriors. They've never seen that in your life. That's got to be the second game because the English at least will still say, and then you have your main event, and that would be the Dogs and Dragons. And I think that will. I think next year will be the best year, and it's going to be insane.
Well,
Coming from
speaking of competitive games, the Sharks versus the Panthers, your beloved Panthers, went out there and got the victory. Tell us, what was the vibe like? What were you feeling before kickoff?
Well, look, I have Sharks in my top four. I think they're going to be a very competitive team this year. Obviously, Panthers have come off 2 years of losing round one. We lost to the Broncos, we lost to the Storm. Both teams we ended up versing in the grand final, and winning. Just saying. So, and then obviously, we haven't always started our first round strong. So I was a bit nervous. Obviously, in my head, I'm traveling all the way to Vegas. We bloody win, So. I wanted to make sure, I wanted us to win. I was begging for us to win. Did I expect what we did in that game? Absolutely. I knew we were going to be rusty.
So the reigning premiers.
Reigning premiers. Nathan Cleary, obviously, coming off an injury as well, or surgery. I did expect us to kind of have that rustiness about us, which is what we always have at the beginning of the year. Panthers have this
Bit
simple
of a premiership hangover a little bit?
Well, not really. It's kind of just routine at this point. Rustiness. Cleary gets injured. We win the grand final. Go again. So, I was worried, but I knew it would be a close game, and the game reflected pretty much exactly how I thought the game would go. I knew Sharks would probably start off earlier. Adam Fanua-Blake, a really good introduction to their team, and then obviously Panthers with a little bit of a comeback, and then I think we had them really easily towards the end, and then they kind of got a few calls.
Adam Fanua-Blake's try.
The 40-20, that should have been a 40-20, and
Yep.
then, there was a few calls didn't go our way, but we ended up getting the victory anyway, and I was very happy with the boys.
So it was a solid victory.
Solid victory. I think it, and a lot of people said, Panther, who's going to stop them? Yeah. And I think there's only one or two teams that can stop us, and they're.
Please do tell.
I think Melbourne.
Yep.
I have Melbourne win the comp. I think they're just going.
Wow. So you think Penrith's reign could be over this year?
Look, every year we lose players, we bounce back, but if we win, honestly, if we win this year, I don't see us losing for the next few years. I got to be honest.
That's fair point.
This year's the kind of fork in the road. You're either going to have the Panthers win the comp, and then we're going to win until 2027, or we're going to lose, and then you're going to see us start to fall apart, or we win next year. But yeah, I think this year's going to be, I think Melbourne, and I think this is a wild card here. I think the Bulldogs.
Really?
And
the Doggies.
The
The Dogs. You think they can challenge?
I think the Sharks, after watching them in round one, I think they still have their holes. Nico Hines is still he still has problems in his game, and you can't really have those type of problems being a half. But the Dogs, man, you saw them. You saw them against the Dragons. They started off a bit rusty, but the issue they had last year is they had a mix between Drew Hutchinson and Toby Sexton. They got their halves pairing now. they're going to be
They're
solid.
forming together.
They're forming together. They're becoming their last year is what I thought with Panthers 2020.
Yeah.
So they're a worry team for me. But any other team, like I'm not really worried about any other team this year.
Yeah. I was gonna ask.
Respectfully.
Yeah. No, be interesting. Have you got any advice for anyone heading to Vegas in the future for like the next season?
Save money. Save your money.
I think it's a bit tough for me. I've got a mortgage to pay.
What are you trying to say? Did you lose a bit there?
No. I can confidently say I walked out of Vegas a winner. Like I went to the roulette table and won 6. Look, I am a gambling man, but like if I got to say something, when you're gambling in America, you don't think you're gambling in American currency. You just think you're gambling money.
Aussie.
And so I had $100 chips, right? Which, if you're in a casino in Australia, just $100 chips. No, in America, I have $100 chips. That's 160 Australian dollars. You're not even thinking that.
Silly
though.
double.
I ended up being a winner. I put 100 in, took 600 out.
Well, I was going to ask you that. Lots of Panthers fans after that win were saying bet on black because like
Always bet on
Panthers
black.
colours. Did you bet on black?
I didn't bet afterwards. I thought I'd be a good boy and save my money and spend it on drinks instead.
Smart.
So,
Smart, man.
No, but if I have some advice, don't stay on the strip. Like honestly, overrated. I have a lot of friends that went as well, and I saw them over there. They stayed on the strip. The only thing the strip has to offer is it's close to everything, but you're using it as a room.
Yeah.
So why not go 10 minutes out of the way? You get a good room with like good amenities, and you have to pay like $10 Uber. You're paying for a better room, and then the Uber costs are your other costs. Like if you're paying, let's just say I'm paying $1,000 for a room for 5 nights where I stayed. You're paying $2,000 for that on the strip, but you're only paying $500 in Uber to get to the strip. And once you're on the strip, as I said, the only thing it's not on the strip. It's just, so if you're grabbing stuff, you can't take it back to your hotel and whatnot, but you can access every hotel. You can go to every casino. I went to the Luxor, Bellagio, MGM, bloody Flamingo, everything.
All around.
Everything's there. So all you need to do is actually just get there and you're sweet.
Did you experience any of the nightlife there?
I did, but it was kind of, as I mentioned, it was my birthday. So I wanted to party on my birthday. You know how it is. You're in Vegas on your birthday. It doesn't happen every day of the week, So, but it is expensive. Like it is expensive.
No doubt
I
about
paid
that.
$80 for a drink.
What?
Really? Yeah.
In a club.
He's
like,
right.
Bro, like I'm telling you, like you get like maybe you get this much, and a lot of it's like when I say, because I was a bartender before, you get a 30 ml shot here, right? You get like that type of shot. So you're paying the difference, but still it's so expensive.
And you got to give a tip on top.
And
correct?
a tip on top, and then it's just a hassle. If I could recommend anything, people might say it's a bit sketchy, but go into the outer strip areas, because instead of paying $80 for a drink, you're paying $3 for shots. That's dangerous as well. But you're paying $3 for shots, and I recommend just doing that. Like, as I said, save your money. Take a lot of money with you and expect to not have any when you get back. Like, that's the type of mentality I'm taking next year. This was my first year, so I took less than I thought I should have. Yeah. And that, obviously, winning in the casinos helped, but yeah, it is honestly, save your money, find the cheap areas. The strip, beautiful, but venture out of there. Go to Fremont Street. Fremont Street's cheap.
It is. Yeah.
It's obviously you don't want to be in the dodgy areas, and that's where it kind of gets a bit dodgy. But honestly, it's casinos everywhere. Nightlife is expensive. How's this? Oh my God, I completely forgot. We went into Omnia, right, which is apparently really good. It was kind of all right. The main club wasn't open because it was a Thursday or whatever. Anyway, we went there. The girls I was with, they paid they paid like $40 to get in. I had to pay $90.
Yeah.
Being a guy,
Same thing happened
bro.
with me.
I was like,
Mate, it was like me at Dre's nightclub. I
do I just put a wig on and just say I'm a fan? Like, it was honestly, I was shocked. I had to pay $50 more to get into the same club. With these
Sexist from the
guys.
Americans.
That's a US for you.
Outrageous, mate. Outrageous.
So yeah, honestly, if you want to go clubbing, like honestly, it is a really good place. There's apps you should download and find like where the place is, because there's places where Thursday for Omnia, dead, but on a Friday, it's the best. It's the place to be. So like you got to find where the place to be is on the certain night. So,
all right, let's change gears, shall we? So obviously the Roosters take on the Panthers this Friday, which unfortunately I'm not looking forward to.
Can we go on to next week? Well, I've just Melbourne the week after.
Settle down. Obviously, we obviously want to know what's your prediction. What do you think from your boys? Are they going to do a number on the Chooks?
See, I want to tell my prediction, but I feel like I'm going to get bashed by these Roosters fans. Like,
Don't worry, we're friendly.
We're friendly.
But Jordan outside might.
No, so I want to be nice. I really do. But, like,
No holds bar. No holds bar.
mate.
Let's do this.
there might be another 50 bomb put on you. So I got to be honest. Like, this is going to be... It's gonna be an upset. It's not gonna be an upset. It's gonna be upsetting for you.
I like that for a second.
It's gonna be upsetting for you. I think Panthers. Obviously, we got our roster off. We got a big game the week after. We got Storm. And
Do you think this game against Melbourne next week will be on their minds?
yes,
Like, do you think
Absolutely.
they'll rest players this week?
potentially. I think. You know what? I didn't actually think of that. I think maybe we do.
Rest Nathan, please.
No, we're not resting Nathan.
Edwards?
You know what? Actually, no, we're not, because we've just had a week. So you got to look at it from our schedule, right? So we've just versed the Sharks in a pretty decent game, got a bit of the rust off, but then we've had a bye pretty much. Like we had that week off. So if you're resting your players, we're just going to put sort of more rusty players on against Melbourne. So I think, as much as I hate to say this on a Roosters podcast, I think it's going to be a training game for us. And I do think the boys are going to put a number on, because we're going to be thinking about next week.
Yeah.
Melbourne have probably been thinking about this for a long time, because we beat them in the grand final.
And it stinks big time.
Not a lot of teams have beaten Melbourne in a grand final, and teams that do usually pay the price afterwards.
We did. 2018.
Yeah, didn't you lose to them sometime after?
No, that was 20.
Yeah. So
I was going to ask you actually, that jersey, I like that jersey. Is that that's the one you played in Vegas in, correct?
it is. It is the 4P jersey, the 4 in a row, and then the 2 other
quality.
premierships. So
I gotta
one of
say
these
that.
have the Roosters name on it somewhere. I just don't know what. I think it's the bottom one, because we beat.
Because I was gonna say one thing that they can't compare to us, that they haven't won any World Club challenges like us, correct?
Can you elaborate, please?
Can I elaborate?
Like they just keep losing against the Super League teams.
I'm sorry, but when was the last time you guys won a premiership? Last decade? Like, come
19.
on.
But we're the world champions, brother. We're the world champions.
We're just
World
letting you know, we
champions.
inspired you. You won back to back, and then you went on to overdo it. But all good.
So Penrith's our little brothers. Is that what you're trying to
basically.
say?
Anyway, guys, I want to thank you for coming on, Flax.
No, I appreciate
really
it. It's been
appreciate
really
it. It was
good.
actually very good to hear from you. And we look forward to seeing you in the near future on Roosters Mania TV.
Mate, when Panthers win again, and you can talk to me, advice on how to coach a good team and
Here we
stay
go.
under the salary cap. I'm always here to help. So, no, it's been really cool. Thanks, boys.
Thanks,
I appreciate
man.
it.
Good seeing you.
Good seeing yous.
We move to Friday night, Combank, Roosters, Penrith.
This is not good.
Should we start left to right to left? What are we thinking?
Go, Luke.
I reckon Luke, what's your thoughts? And then we can go through the rest of the round. I got a bit more in depth for the game.
I'll be honest, mate. I'm not expecting much. We got, like I said before, our players, we got a fair bit out. Spencer's got one more week on suspension. Let's just give it our all. Let's pack out the away bay. Let's just support the boys regardless. And you never know. We could be an upset.
Hey, and look,
There
to
could
be honest, it's football. On any given day, anyone can win.
Guys, we've been waiting for the footy to start, and I just can't believe the backlash we're copying. I understand we caught 50, but come on. It's like you guys have already given up. It's done. It is what it is. Let's just go and watch cricket now.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, we've got the hardest first 10 rounds of any team, I reckon.
it's
Yeah,
gonna
Penrith
be-
and
it's gonna be
Broncos.
hard.
We've been
like-
stitched up bad.
But once we get through that, it gets a bit easier, guys. And yeah,
You know?
What's your thoughts on the game for Friday?
Mate, I think if we can just start well, I think when we looked against Broncos, I think when Bradley went off, I think it just dropped a bit. It was just like, I think Bronx might have it here. But I think if we can just get a good start, the boys on debut, they played well, and just stay in it for as long as we can. But yeah, Penrith, look, they've had that long break off from Vegas.
They're a different beast.
They're a different beast. They're going to turn it up a notch because obviously they've got Melbourne the week after. So look, let's hopefully they don't raise the bat for half a century and we can just enjoy our Friday night and take some positives out of it.
Yeah. Nice little night with the boys. Theo, where's your thoughts?
I think they're gonna run riot. I
I
hate
think
myself.
that's consensus.
But at least you're being honest there. At least you're saying, no, Roosters 13 plus.
I love those boys. I love them until the day I die. It doesn't matter who wears a Roosters jersey, but unfortunately, where we are at the moment in terms of our roster, in terms of trying to find some cohesion and combinations, we just don't have it at the moment. So it's going to be a Penrith 13 plus. Unfortunately, sorry, Roosters fans. Sorry.
Didn't think you were going to say that one, but
I think it's safe to say. I mean, look, I'm back in Penrith, but I'll talk a bit more when we go through the round. But yeah, even I'm going Penrith this week, and I backed the Roosters last week on our ESPN footy tips. I haven't done it this week. I've submitted the tips, and Penrith are not in it. So, sorry, the Roosters aren't in it. I've gone Penrith. So, but look, hey, we've got a good weekend of footy coming up, and it starts Thursday night. Knights v Dolphins up at McDonald Jones. Presto, where you heading on that one, mate?
Yeah, mate, up at the Hunter, I think it'll probably be a packed out, sold out crowd. They always get a good crowd there.
They do. They love
Dolphins will probably get their players back.
It'll be for the Safidi Cup, so yep.
Safidi Cup.
Safidi's coming back.
Don't know where Dolphins are training out of. I think they may have moved because obviously the floods up in southeast Queensland at the moment.
Can we give a shout out to everyone in Queensland that have been affected by the cyclone and the floods? We are thinking of you guys, and much love from Roosters Mania TV.
Yeah, 100%. Hope you're all okay and all's well.
On that note, Newcastle 13 plus.
Ouch!
Yeah,
even with Mark,
that's just
I think Ponga's going to light it up. I think they might.
You gonna captain him?
Ponga's going to put in a show, and
I'm
think
going to captain Fletcher Sharp instead.
Yeah, and I think they'll look good down the edge. You know, Bradman Best. You know, I rate him.
Bradman Best was awfully quiet, so.
I think he'll turn up a notch. I'm going to go Bradman Best for 2, Ponga man of the match.
That's good. I got Bradman Best in Supercoach.
Yeah, and then we go to Friday night. Warriors Manly.
In Auckland as well.
Yep.
Another bloodbath coming.
Luke and I will be in Auckland for the Roosters Warriors.
Next week.
Week 3, baby. Week 3.
Yeah, it'll be good. I think, Warriors, they didn't impress me in Vegas. I think I'm going to go Manly. Manly look good. They look strong. If they can bring that form from Bookie over to NZ, I'm going to go... Well, I reckon Warriors put up 5. I go Manly 1-12 on this one.
Ooh, yeah.
Really?
I actually think James Fisher-Harris and Mitch Barnett will want to prove a point.
I think they want to. Yeah, I think they want to prove a point. They played very sideways last week. I thought Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, I think he tried to overdo his hand a bit, come through the middle.
Yeah,
I
on
think,
the wing instead of centre where he's preferred.
Yeah, so if they can just fix up those little things, see what Andrew Webster can do, then I reckon it'll be Manly 1-12.
I think the halves combination is where they're going to struggle.
Yeah.
You look at Cherry Evans and Brooks compared to Metcalf and
Chanel.
Well, that's the thing.
that's no disrespect to those two.
Does Tamari Martin get a call up? That's the other thing.
I think they might give these halves 1 week.
Yeah,
depends what happens. And
there was a lot of talk about Metcalf being the one that he wanted that Sean Johnson role. He wanted to take over, so it's his chance to grab it.
I mean, it's only one game.
It's only round 1, so everyone's already saying who's going to win the comp and stuff. But
Melbourne,
early days.
Melbourne.
All right, mate. Penrith Roosters, Jordan.
So as I said, boys, I'm going Penrith. I think it's too hard. They're too good. Couple of things though. Brian To'o will probably be back. McLean was HIA'd in Vegas.
Doing the splits as well.
Yeah, so I think To'o's back, which is obviously a huge boost. He's such a big part. I don't think we're going to have too many changes to our squad, to be honest. Obviously, Radley will be out. But I'm gonna make an early crow here. I'd like to see Feketi play second row in his place. I'd like to see him play a full game there. He showed really well in 52 minutes on debut what he can do, and I think he's a hard ball runner. He has that good line. He reminds me of Satili Tupanui and a bit shorter, but a bit stronger.
More stockier.
A bit bigger.
He's like a
muscle.
nugget. He's
So I wouldn't mind seeing him take Radley's spot, but obviously we'll leave those decisions to Robbo. That's why he gets paid the big bucks.
In Robbo we trust.
In Robbo we trust. But yeah, look, Penrith to win, but also I'm hoping Toya and Markey back up their games. They had great games, so I'm hoping they back it up. And look, worst case, if we lose, guys, first game on Saturday, Dragons, Bunnies. Based off how the Bunnies played last week, I don't think they're winning.
I think Dragons will be hungry.
I've gone the Dragons. They're coming off a loss to a tough Dogs team. Souths are coming off a barely there win against a very weak Dolphins team who made a lot of mistakes. Also, Jack Whiten not playing.
Oh, he got the suspension.
He got a 1 week suspension, so he got a dangerous contact charge and a careless high tackle.
And Tyrone Munro suffered an injury as well.
And Tyrone Munro
So
broken collarbone again. That's I think the third time he's done
probably.
it.
Yeah,
so
probably.
he's out 6 to 8 weeks.
So that left side's been evaporated.
Pretty much, yeah. So no Whiten makes it hard. Then no Munro on top of that. I'm actually
13
calling
plus.
Dragons 13+.
I like to hear that.
I think they're genuinely going to come out because they're going to want to prove a point after losing at Cogra last week.
Is this one down in the Gong?
I believe it's down in the Gong. Yeah, nothing on at Cogra this weekend. So yeah, I think they're taking it down to the Gong. So yeah, mate, you know what? That's almost my lock of the week is that the Dragons will win that game.
Wow.
Ben against his old club as well.
Bennett against his old club
For a second week in a row.
Flanagan's doing some good stuff there by the looks of it. So yeah, but Lukey, Saturday afternoon we head up to North Queensland for the Cowboys and Sharkies. Yeah, what are you thinking, mate?
When we did our top 8 predictions, I said Cowboys top 4. Do you remember?
Yeah, I remember that. I was quite shocked.
Yes.
Even, I know Cronulla had a great performance against Penrith in Vegas, regardless of the result. They put their body on the line. I reckon Cowboys are going to do the upset. North Queensland on a hot afternoon.
Yeah,
it's hot up
Saturday
there.
afternoon,
Mate,
muggy.
I reckon they're not going to be able to
What did you eat?
What
What did you eat in those Cogra? Those hot dogs, man, have done something to you, man.
No, mate, no hot dogs.
No.
mate.
Look, I agree with you. I think Peyton said it really well
No chance.
in his post-match conference. Basically said, I got one question for the boys and, will they show up next week? So I reckon he's worked them off. He's expecting a lot this week.
I reckon Reece Robson is going to go prove a point. After the performance against Manly
was
last week,
quiet.
I reckon
Yeah.
he's going to turn it up as well as Valentine Holmes in the Dragons
Don't be
game.
surprised there'll be changes from the Cowboys. There's got to be a few.
I don't know if there will be, though.
You think
I think he'll go pretty much with the same squad, give them one more chance because if they can't perform at home on a Saturday afternoon where, the conditions suit them, then, mate, then you're looking at changes for sure.
Yeah. And the other game, Saturday night, Broncos versus Raiders.
In Canberra as well.
in the,
as much
in
as
the
I love-
cold.
It won't be too cold. I
Will
think,
Reece
will it?
Walsh get a bit of ice on his fingernails or?
Mate, he won't play, I reckon. It'll be
might
too
have-
cold for him.
Or he might have ice in his veins.
Oh, no.
There's only one.
He's not Nathan Cleary.
But I think Savage is out. You were talking about
So
before.
Savage is out and
Joseph
Tarpany.
Also
Tarpany.
Tarpany is out.
Yeah,
So as much as I love the Green Machine, shout out to the Raiders fans out there.
especially
Can,
Simon.
can Ricky
yeah.
get him up? What do you reckon?
I'd love to see it, but I think the horses will be too strong.
I think of the way the Broncos played,
The way they
it's gonna be a
played, and
tough
Ben
game.
Hunt, mate, he's just formed back in that team.
Oldest halves pairing.
It's like he never left.
That's right. Like ever since that drop in the 2015 grand final.
You know the worst thing, he didn't even drop a ball on Thursday, so we couldn't even give him crap. I mean, I
Yeah.
tried anyway, but
Yeah.
But I think Broncos 13+. As much as I hate to say it,
Safe
I
bet.
think they'll win comfortably. That's my lock of the week.
And obviously Sunday we have the Eels versus the Tigers at Combank Stadium, and obviously it will be
That'll be a good one.
Yeah, it will be for the Brett Hodgson Cup. So yeah, it should be good. Obviously Eels are coming off a bad defeat,
Yeah.
and
bad's a nice word, and Dill Brown.
Dill Brown
News.
announcing that he's obviously going to the Hunter. But Tigers, look, they were disappointed too. Both teams have got a point to prove, but this could be a danger game for the West Tigers because Para are pissed. Gotta be.
Yeah, but do you reckon Benji rips the Tigers about missing 55 tackles and that they fix that side up? Luai and Galvin actually show up, and it's not just Royce Hunt and Terrell May doing it all.
Well, you know what? Funny that you mentioned those players. They're obviously going to have the inclusion now of Appy Coruscant returning back.
that's right. Yeah,
He
he's
did
back.
not play.
Appy,
And
yeah.
Terreen Buller will return as well, I've heard. So that now adds 2 quarters to their spine now. So they're going to be a bit more strong.
That could be a danger. That could be a top 5
Mate,
spine when they're
you know
on,
what?
to be honest.
I'll keep it nice and short. I think the Tigers will win, and I think they'll win. I'll give it a 1-12. I won't be too harsh on Paris supporters, but yeah, like Luke is.
Theo, just a question.
Yeah.
From the breaking news we heard before, do you think how do you think Dylan Brown will go in that game?
Team be a bit rattled, a bit distracted. No,
Look,
Do you reckon he'll have a big game?
Can I be honest with you, man? He sorted his future out. He should be a professional. Just get on with it.
Well, that's it. Like part of his post was, and I know players say it, but part of his post from Instagram, I'm quoting, is, we still got a job to do this year. So I reckon now that all the noise is over, it kind of settles everything because everyone goes, all right, we've only got him for a year. Let's make it a big year.
And obviously the Bulldogs versus the Titans at
Back
a
to
Severo.
Belmore.
Back to
Back to
Belmore.
Belmore.
This could be another bloodbath, hey? The bloodbath of Belmore.
Are you gonna be there with your
I
dad?
reckon the Bulldogs could come out firing at Belmore. They love a game there.
You know what? Bulldog fans are going to hate me for this. I'm actually going to go for the upset. I'm going for the Titans.
Oh, in
Wow.
their first game of the year.
Yeah, I know. It sounds
Wow.
it sounds a bit, far-fetched and everyone's
Do you
going...
think so you're going for the upset? Obviously, Titans big distraction today because they have to move from there.
That's not a problem.
You think they're
They've got Des Hasler. Des Hasler's their former coach as well at the Bulldogs. I'm sure he'll want to get one up on them. Obviously, everyone's just riding the Titans off completely. Like, the Titans have got a good squad.
First game of the year for them as well.
And it's their first game as well. So they're fresh. They're ready to go. I'm not saying that the Dogs are not good enough. I'm just saying that the Titans can ambush them.
Yeah, okay.
It is a possibility.
At Belmore
It's
as
at
well.
Belmore, man. They'll
so
pack
what?
out.
So what? The Dogs have lost at Belmore. It's not
Do
like...
you think they were training in their budgies? Did you see their stadium today? No, like
Yeah, it was up to like
In
the
all
goalpost, the
seriousness,
crossbar, wasn't it?
the water was past the crossbar, like their ground. So they've moved today.
Yeah, they're
and
down here already.
yeah,
aren't
down
they?
in Sydney training for the game on Sunday. But
I just think the Titans, and I think the Titans are going to win the bill. And
Tino's back.
and Dave Fafetta will do a backflip anyway when he scores.
Do you reckon it's going to be a close game or an easy win that game?
A close. No, it'll be
yeah,
close.
it's
It'll
gotta
be
be
close.
close.
Nah,
There's no way the
I won't be
Bulldogs-
that disrespectful. I think that, look, if the Dogs do win, they do, but
There's
I
no
think-
way the Bulldogs let themselves get flogged at Belmore.
No chance. But don't discredit the Titans, man. They've got a good squad. I'm not going to go on about it, but that's it. So, yeah.
so it's going to be a good round 2.
Good fun
Plenty of
weekend,
games
I
to look
reckon.
forward to, and probably a few upsets.
My missus is away, so I actually get to watch all the games this year.
Yeah.
Lucky
So,
you.
Luke, just quickly tell all the Roosters fans and Penrith fans, if they want to come up, where we're going to be this Friday.
Well, Friday night will be in Bay 208. So the Combank prices, they've been like the away bay's ridiculous prices. We're going to see in the Bay next to it. If you're going to see in the Chukban, by GA South, there's still tickets left on that side. Let's fill up that Bay. Last time we played Para,
Remember the Para game there? And I
Yeah.
remember listening to Fox Sports and getting messages.
They kept mentioning
mentioning
our,
how loud we were in that southern corner. So, yeah, let's do it again.
Let's
Who cares
do it
if it's
again.
Penrith?
That's right. Let's
Beautiful.
go and show them we got the best fan base in the game.
And another big thank you to Steel Roofing Supply Centre. It was not possible without them, as we always say. If anyone needs any roofing materials, please make your way to their website, steelroofing.com.au.
And don't forget, guys, look, you get to hear our tips every week. Jump on Insta, go to our link tree, join our footy tipping comp via ESPN Footy Tips. Look, just see if you're better than us. Have the bragging rights.
I mean, I only got 3 from 8 last week.
Mate,
so.
to be honest,
You must be better than Jordan.
To be fair, so actually, boys, I stuffed up my tips when I put them in the system, when I put them into the app, because I actually tipped Manly when I meant to tip the
That was
Cowboys.
like me. That was like me.
I ended up getting 3 out of 8, so I feel a bit better about myself.
I got 7. I think I'm going to beat you all.
Mate, you got 1 week. Settle down. There's another 26 to go. But yeah, guys, jump on. Join I think we've got about 12 or 13 already on there. Mate, come in, have some fun. Look, it's all about bragging rights. And if you can beat us, you get to have bragging rights over us for at least a year.
Yeah, beautiful, mate. Well, join us next week with a special episode as someone, a big Roosters fans, coming on, and you'll see that all next week. Remember, like, follow, subscribe on the socials and YouTube. From all of us, RMTV.
It's good night,
Have a great
guys.
night. See you
Bye
next
for now.
week.